A long, long time ago, in a star-packed galaxy not so far away, a little movie named Star Wars hit it big, real big.
The Force will be with you always.
We're jumping to light speed to access Star Wars. The stars, the special effects, the rare footage that hasn't been seen in 2 decades.
It's great to sit in a theater and see people really enjoy something like that.
It's the ultimate hour of Star Wars, right here on Access Hollywood.
Even way back in 1977, when Star Wars hit theaters, fans lined up around the block. That Beatles-like frenzy continues today with the film's 20th anniversary re-release, making more than $35 million in its opening week. Hi, everybody. I'm Larry Menti.
And I'm Nancy O'Dell, and welcome to this very special edition of Access Hollywood. We have got a huge show for you today, a whole hour of Star Wars.
There is no doubt about it. The Force is still with millions of you who have again made Star Wars the #1 movie in the country.
And during the next hour, we are going to show you how the movie was made, the special effects, the creatures, and some rarely seen gems.
All right, let's get started with the mania that Star Wars created some 20 years ago and is still going strong today.
The Force will be with you always.
It's been a force that has sustained and enthralled audiences for 20 years.
It's great to sit in a theater and see people really enjoy something like that.
Great kids, don't get cocky.
I thought I was seeing the second coming. You know, I saw this movie for the first time, and I was just bowled over. I saw the movie 6 times in 2 weeks.
I was 12, saw it 21 times. Proud to say that. Always been a big fan.
This is some rescue. You came in here. Did you have a plan for getting out?
Keep the plane, sweetheart.
I knew it would be a script or a movie that was unlike any other.
I must have seen it about 10, 15 times.
And so did a lot of other people, helping to make Star Wars one of the highest-grossing films of all time, second only to E.T. But it was what the movie generated that made the most money.
I think it's just that it's the first movie that actually made movies an event.
And part of that event was found in the Star Wars merchandise. Director George Lucas was the first to see the gold in this mine.
I got involved in licensing just to do T-shirts so that, you know, we could publicize the movie, so hopefully it would make its money back so I could hopefully make more.
After Star Wars, 20th Century Fox owed George Lucas $500,000, so they came to him to make a deal with him. He says, I'll make you a deal. Keep the $500,000, let me have the merchandising rights and the sequel rights, the money's yours.
Lucas became the first filmmaker to retain his own licensing rights, and to date he has sold more than $3 billion in Star Wars merchandise.
All of a sudden Star Wars came and changed the course of toy history, because all these little action figures now that we take for granted started mega corporations.
I've got the original poster, rolled up in a tube so I can't get hurt, you know. Yeah, Star Wars was a big deal for me.
Wow, look at this.
Yeah,
it's like an original.
It is the original.
So you are a fan.
I'm a fan, and I'm so glad I didn't sell this in the garage sale.
I was like 8 years old, but I had, you know, the T-shirts and the Boba Fett guy and all that stuff.
20 years later, did you ever imagine this?
No. I was lucky. 20 years ago, I was sitting in a mixing room trying to worry about whether this was going to make its money back. So I never imagined anything like this was going to happen.
Standing in line for first-day screenings of Star Wars Special Edition, the crowds look remarkably like the crowds from 20 years ago.
Star Wars is sold out.
And by all appearances, the audience reaction to this new Special Edition version is as strong as it was in 1977.
I saw it 20 years ago and saw it again tonight, and it was worth the wait.
As every scene opened up, I was choked to tears, and I didn't even know why yet.
I have you now. What?
It had sound and visual effects that went far beyond anything ever seen before. Even Washington took notice.
That's why when I said Star Wars and criticized it, I never mentioned space or anything.
Much to George Lucas's dismay, Star Wars became a synonym for President Reagan's Strategic Defense Initiative.
On the House floor, the president's call for a new space-age anti-missile system was ridiculed. in comparison to Star Wars.
The only thing the president didn't tell us last night was that the evil empire was about to launch the Death Star against the United States.
When our astronauts referred to it, we knew exactly what they meant.
That's just kind of a gee whiz thing. I tell you, this thing really does have a Star Wars effect.
5 years later, when Steven Spielberg inserted the character of Yoda into his film E.T., the audience got the joke.
I think in a sense it brought America together, you know, to enjoy an experience. And it united this country, I think, in 1977 when it opened, more than anything had, maybe since Gone with the Wind, in terms of movies.
It even found its way onto late-night television.
Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars. Give me the Star Wars, don't let them end.
So if you're wondering why people are again waiting in long lines in all kinds of weather to see a film that's 20 years old, well, partly it's because of the enhanced visual effects and the new scenes, but maybe it's also because it brings us back to a place where good and evil were more easily defined, and the hopes for a happy ending were more assured.
I knew you'd come back. I didn't do it. Well, I was going to let you get all the credit and take all the reward.
The Star Wars adventure doesn't end here. In fact, it's just begun. 2 of the remaining films from the trilogy are scheduled to be released in the next few weeks. And if that isn't enough, there's even more heading to theaters from that galaxy far, far away.
This is the greatest thing that ever happened to movie history, next to when they come out with the 3 prequels coming out in '99. So it's going to be amazing.
When we come back, how a young Hollywood hotshot named George Lucas made a little movie called Star Wars.
I discovered that I could do something very well. It didn't take me very long to realize that I had a real knack for it.
And later, we've been digging deep into the vaults for this rare interview with the stars of Star Wars. And you can check it out here when Access Hollywood's Star Wars extravaganza continues.
Access Hollywood is brought to you by the new Tylenol Cold Severe Congestion, tougher than your toughest cold.
Well, I get this cold. Not a sniffle, not a you'll feel better in the morning cold. This one's a doozy. Congestion, unbelievable. I really needed something powerful. So I found new Tylenol Cold Severe Congestion. 3 maximum strength medicines and a full dose of Tylenol pain reliever. That's tough. It works so well on my horrible congestion. I'm once again Mommy, finder of all lost things.
New Tylenol Cold Severe Congestion, tougher than your toughest cold.
Even though he thinks the diet soft drink never tastes as good as a regular, he's decided to try a Diet Dr. Pepper. Well, it just goes to show things aren't always what they seem. Diet Dr. Pepper tastes more like regular Dr. Pepper.
Grand cinnamon rolls from Pillsbury.
They're ready.
The most enormous, ooey gooey, luscious.
Should we wake the others?
Let them sleep.
Now with more icing.
They're not just big, they're grand.
Many of you are getting the AT&T One rate plan.
I just got that plan.
I'm with that dime plan.
It's not a dime all the time to everyone, you know.
Not?
No, only one person.
Well, what about everybody else?
7 a.m. to 7 p.m. weekdays, it's a quarter.
It's so complicated.
Well, the AT&T One rate plan is very simple.
How simple?
Calls from home, one low rate to anybody in America, anytime, no restrictions.
I'm switching to AT&T.
All right, so we're making a little progress.
No restrictions, no games. The AT&T One rate plan. Italian espresso roast from Maxwell House. Full-bodied but not bitter. Brew a whole pot in your regular coffee maker because it's much too enjoyable for those little white cups. And it's always good to the last drop.
Welcome back to Access Hollywood and our 1-hour mega special on Star Wars. Now, you've seen the impact this film has had on audiences.
Well, that is nothing compared to how Star Wars changed Hollywood and the way it makes movies. It all started with a guy named George who took his own advice and used the Force.
A long, long time ago, in a small farm community not too far from Hollywood, a boy with a passion for comic book heroes became a teenager who loved fast cars. One day, over 30 years ago, that young man from Modesto, California, enrolled at the University of Southern California's film school.
About the second week I was here, it just sort of, my whole life got consumed by film.
As he gave himself over to his passion for the moving picture, George Lucas, who was destined to be the director who forever changed the movie business, had a vision.
From George's concept of it to the actual release of it, it was probably about a 5-year period.
George believed that if he could take the action-adventure serials he loved as a boy,
Flash Gordon
and combine that with technology the movie industry hadn't even invented yet, he could create a brand new motion picture universe. A universe the world would come to know as Star Wars.
The Force is what gives the Jedi his power. It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together.
For those of us living on Earth, George Lucas came spinning into our orbit with American Graffiti, an idealized portrait of his youth.
Listen, if you're gonna race John Milner, you can let me out right when we get there.
Now, why don't you shut up, baby? You ain't said one word all night long. What a weird broad. You're gonna appreciate me soon.
For both Harrison Ford and George Lucas, American Graffiti was their first big hit. But before creating the earthbound dreams of graffiti, George had already conceived Star Wars, and it was the success of graffiti that made Star Wars possible.
It was a difficult film to get off the ground.
He had developed the project at United Arts, and then they turned it down.
You know, it was considered a very avant-garde, crazy movie in a genre science fiction that didn't ever do very well, that you know, had a very limited appeal.
He had actually shown it to Alan Ladd Jr., who was at 20th Century Fox as a production executive. And Alan Ladd Jr. really liked the concept. His strength and his position held that film in check so that there wasn't anybody who was going to change things. He believed in George. He believed in the film.
This time, let go your conscious self and act on instinct.
It was only $10 million, and big budget pictures then were like 20 million, 25 million. But they looked at it and they said, well, he can't do this for 10. You know, it's probably cost 20, 25 million in, you know, science fiction, and they only do, you know, 16 million, and it's just, you know, so a lot of people looked at it and just said no.
There were some people at Fox that really did not see this.
And they didn't understand it, you know, robots and Wookiees, and, you know, it was very confusing to everybody at the time.
A number of people thought that this was a giant fiasco.
I think that the themes and the motifs and things that I based it on have been around for 1,000 years.
Hokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side, kid.
Lucas had mixed up Eastern philosophy, the Wild West, and technology to tell a tale of people banding together in common cause.
I think there's a certain psychological resonance that happens to people, and ultimately the story and the characters are things that people relate to.
I want to come with you to Alder. There's nothing for me here now. I want to learn the ways of the Force and become a Jedi like my father.
Nothing really captures people's imaginations other than other people and their personal dramas.
Lucas's own drama was figuring out how to get Star Wars made. To sell his vision, he had to find a way to illustrate it. So artist Ralph McQuarrie did a group of production paintings.
There was visualizations of what George was going after in the film. So you could see various things. And the McQuarrie paintings were sort of the key for showing people what the basic visual concept of the film is going to be like.
It was one thing to read a script and be entertained, but seeing these paintings somehow made the fantasy seem real.
Well, I was representing Fox in London. I was head of production over there, and one day my boss, Alan Ladd, called me and said, look, I've got this wonderful script from George Lucas. It's rather bizarre. He sent me the script, and it was clearly a lot of things that had never been done before. The technical challenges were much bigger than was apparent when you first read the script. We sat down and we spent about a month, working out how to make the film and budgeting it, and then the studio said, go ahead and make it.
Now that he had the money, all George needed to do was assemble an army of like-minded creators.
A small core of people John Barry, the art director, the cameraman, the special effects, wardrobe. There was a core team of us that worked day and night for nearly 18 months, 2 years to make this film happen.
A second team labored in Los Angeles, tackling the challenge of creating a new world of special effects. Lucas, meanwhile, focused on finding actors who could bring his story to life.
Casting is a whole story unto itself.
At the casting session, George unexpectedly ran into a friend.
And there was, repairing some woodwork in there and all that, Harrison Ford was a carpenter. That's how he earned his living.
I said, Harrison, help me play against these characters so I can do these screen tests and everything. And he did such a great job. I said, I want you to be in the film.
For Princess Leia,
looking for somebody who was, very young but very commanding.
I don't know who you are or where you came from. From now on, you do as I tell you, okay?
Carrie came in, she was 19 years old, boy, and she just took command of the situation.
Governor Tuck, I should have expected to find you holding Vader's leash. I recognized your foul stench when I was brought on board.
And we were both very impressed, and I said, yeah, she's a princess underneath all this.
Mark was a big science fiction comic book fan. He had got his agent to set it up so he could come there because what he wanted to do, and he knew about Star Wars that was going to be made up, he would come basically to ask that when it was made, if he could come down and visit the set. So when he got it, he couldn't believe it.
I got him! Great, kid! Don't get cocky!
watching Star Wars can be like the feeling you get when you're riding a roller coaster. Making it was almost as exciting because the revolutionary special effects made outer space seem real.
And that was really the first major step in special effects in my mind since the 1930s.
As production progressed, the relatively small budget was bursting at the seams. The team was constantly looking for ways to save money.
We found all sorts of innovative ways of doing things, a lot of them old-fashioned ways. For instance, the very end scene, we'd originally expected to build a big set and have, I don't know, it was 1,000, 2,000 crowd in that set. And it was coming near the end of the schedule, and it wasn't only hiring the crowd, it was having the costumes made. I went to George and said, George, do you think we could try the old-fashioned thing of having a lock-off camera and lighting sections of the set and moving the crowd from one lit area and then unlighting that area, moving to the next lit area, and using the same crowd 10 times. And George, being a very good, knowledgeable filmmaker, said, yeah, that'll work.
To the moviegoer in 1977, it all seemed seamless, but no one, not even Lucas, really knew until the very end whether his vision would be realized in a satisfactory way.
I have you now.
Star Wars, of course, is unimaginable without its memorable theme song and stirring Oscar-winning score, composed by John Williams. A terrific score, a great cast, layers of special effects nobody had seen before. But while they made it, did they know it was special?
Nobody, I think, can honestly claim they knew it was going to have the success it had. What we did know while we were making it was that all the crew's children wanted to come to the set and see C-3PO and R2-D2. And it was unusual for technicians to want to bring their children to the set and ask to see it. So one had a sense that it was special.
It all came together in a way only George Lucas could have envisioned.
George had this vision, and I think his wife also knew because she edited the film, but I don't think anybody could really understand his vision until it was materialized.
This rite of passage story is really evolved and took off in a way that nobody's ever done a story like it since.
You're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home.
What made Star Wars completely different is it isn't Earth. It's a space fantasy.
I discovered that I could do something very well. It didn't take me very long to realize that I had a real knack for it.
The Force will be with you, always.
Just ahead, Luke Skywalker's right here on stage 5.
It's like looking at your old high school yearbook. Look at my hair, oh my gosh.
Plus, Han Solo, Princess Leia, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Darth Vader. All the Star Wars stars are coming up on Access Hollywood's Star Wars Special.
Only by going alone in silence can one get into the heart of the wilderness. All other travel is mere dust and hotels and baggage and chatter.
Lots and lots, tons and tons of tennis balls. Some of the things that are on my Discover card statement, I travel quite a bit. Ooh, I didn't know that the golf balls around here. Just relax, enjoy nature, and very good. Babidochromis, caeruleus. They don't want to play with me now because I beat them 90% of the time. I'll take out $100 to buy the bait, gas up the boat.
How many credit cards make a statement like that?
See, what else do I have on this?
It pays to Discover. Use it where you see the notice sign.
My hair had so many flyaways. My hair was unhealthy before Infusium.
Infusium 23 leave-in treatment corrects, restores, structurizes. After one use, hair look. Infusium 23 leave-in treatment corrects, restores, structurizes. After one use, hair looks healthy.
Admissible?
Infusium 23, the leave-in you'll believe in.
Now I am a believer.
You could take this for your stuffy nose, this for chest congestion and cough, this for pain, or you could take new Comtrex Deep Chest Cold Nose, this for chest congestion and cough, this for pain, or you could take new Comtrex Deep Chest Cold with all the medicine you need to relieve your major chest cold symptoms. So why take these? New Comtrex Deep Chest Cold does it all.
Monday morning at 11 on the Channel 4 News Midday Report.
Get more for your money with a sweetheart of a deal. Pick up 2 Valentine's cards for $1, plus savings on stationery, wrapping paper, and party supplies.
Monday morning at 11, only on the Channel 4 News Midday Report.
No matter how busy your day, you still can say,
Dinner in 10 minutes.
your Boboli pizza crust starts with Italian seasonings. Then add what they like
Veggies, pepperoni.
for a fresh, hot, homemade meal. And that crust with its Boboli bubbles is always crisp outside, tender inside.
Mom, what does Boboli mean?
Delicious. Boboli. It's why you make pizza at home.
Why 2 toothpastes?
If you must know, my dentist recommends Sensodyne for my sensitive teeth, and I need tartar control, too.
I use 1 toothpaste for both. New Tartar Control Sensodyne.
You sound just like my dentist.
New Tartar Control Sensodyne.
Monday at 4, Rosie O'Donnell is taking her show on the road, and that road leads to L.A. We'll take you behind the scenes and show you what it takes to make the hottest talk show around. Rosie Takes L.A. Just for you, Monday at 4, only on the Channel 4 News.
On the next Extra, the incredible video shot by undercover decoys to catch a cheating spouse. See how people are taking the bait. Then, Bikini Getaway Week kicks off with sexy playmate Shauna Sand on Extra.
Monday at 7, here on NBC4.
Welcome back, everybody, to our special on Star Wars. Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, all famous stars, all household names now.
Sure, all because of one film, Star Wars. This movie really put these actors on the map, making them some of the biggest stars in this galaxy and beyond.
Your destiny lies with me.
Chewbacca and the droids gave Star Wars its imagination.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
But it was the human stars that brought the trilogy to life.
Look, your worshipfulness, let's get one thing straight. I take orders from just one person, me.
Back in 1977, we all fell in love with Luke, Han, and Leia. And in a rare interview with the Today Show's Gene Shalit, we met the then unknown actors for the first time.
Have you gone to the theater just anonymously, just go in as a patron?
It's easy to be anonymous at this point, really. Nobody recognizes us when we go into a theater, which is a pleasure.
For director George Lucas, finding those fresh faces proved to be a painstaking process.
And in the end, I had about 3 or 4 people for each part, and I had them play against each other. I had the 4 Lukes play against the 4 Hands and the 4 Princess Leias and mixed them all up. Because I was interested in the chemistry, the ensemble chemistry of how everybody worked together.
No, wait!
Put that thing away, you're gonna get us all killed!
Absolutely, your worship. Look, I had everything under control till you let us down here.
Harris and I ended up bickering and talking a certain way to one another. It definitely reflected how Harrison and I spoke and interacted, and in a way how Mark and I had a sort of, I don't know, more familial, brotherly, sisterly aspect.
I was once a Jedi Knight, the same as your father.
But there were some established stars who also helped save the galaxy, like legendary actor Sir Alec Guinness. In this 10-year-old interview, the press-shy thespian talks about his initial space fears.
And I heard it was, it's a script by George Lucas. Well, that meant something, American Graffiti and so on. And then I opened it and saw it was science fiction and groaned. I thought, oh no, they've got the wrong man. But I kept turning the pages. I wanted to know what happened next.
You've got a lot of guts coming here after what you pulled.
And in The Empire Strikes Back, we met the trilogy's only black hero, the swashbuckling Lando Calrissian.
It's amazing. Kids will know about Lando and Han Solo and Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia for the next 50 years.
20 years later, those characters are thrilling us once again. And as Han, Luke, and Leia showed in these vintage interviews, even a long time ago, they knew they were making history.
If you have to be saddled with anything, might as well be saddled with the Space Princess than anything else. I mean, it's nice to be associated with something that I'm really proud of.
I love the movies. I can't wait to see the other trilogies, the ones I'm not in.
I suppose it's a once-in-a-lifetime kind of experience. I had no idea when we started that it was going to be as hugely successful or have so much influence in my life. And I've been well and truly satisfied with the entire experience.
Joining us now here on Stage 5 is Mark Hamill, who of course played Luke Skywalker in the famed Star Wars. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Nancy.
When did you first realize that Star Wars was becoming such a phenomenon?
Well, the very day it opened, I was meant to loop the 35mm print because it opened in 70mm, and I asked the driver, can we go by the Chinese theater just to see the movie playing? And he drove by the theater, and we were both shocked to see that there were lines around the block from the very first day, which is odd because it opened with no poster. They couldn't decide, well, wait a minute, is this heavy like 2001, or is it Little Rascals in Outer Space? And so there was a lot of last-minute changes in terms of the ad campaign. What I could never figure out was how people knew from the very first day. And that's the thing, that's the reason I was glad I went to the premiere, because the people that have a passion for it have been so supportive over the years, so loyal. I was really nervous because I hadn't seen it since it was in the theaters the first time. They had it on video at my house. I walk right out of the room. It's like looking at your old high school yearbook. Look at my hair. Oh, my gosh.
Filming it first, you had no idea that Leia, Princess Leia, was going to wind up as your sister.
Well, yeah, what a terrible good news, bad news joke that is. The good news is there's a very attractive woman in the galaxy. The bad news is she's your sister. We didn't know. We were strictly on a need-to-know basis. And in fact, I remember thinking, just before we did the swing across on the rope, I said to George, why does she just give me a little peck on the cheek? I mean, I've risked my life. Can't we really go at it, you know, get a little snogging in there? And he goes,
so when did you finally find out?
Well, probably about a week before we started filming Jedi, and they brought us up into the dressing rooms. And I thought, uh-oh, whenever they call us into the principal's office, it's going to be another one of those surprises. And they told us that, and both of us were like, oh, no! It was funny, too, because Carrie, you know, loved being the only royalty in the movie. And I remember thinking, wait a minute, does this make me a prince? And she was like, no!
If you could summarize the whole Star Wars experience in one word, what would it be?
Fun.
It's good to hear. We want to thank you so much for being here. Is there anything that you want to say to all your wonderful fans you still have out there?
I can't tell you, it sounds cornball, but I really love those people so much because they have given us so much over the years in support, in letters. They're just fantastic, and thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. And we'll be back with more Star Wars right after this.
Coming right up, I'll interview those feature creatures.
We look better than ever, don't we, R2?
Plus, meet the real guys behind R2-D2 and Chewbacca.
And I could wobble it slightly and move the body right this way and that way.
We've got a couple of droids and a Wookiee, and the behind-the-scenes look at how they created the film's special effects. That's just ahead when Access Hollywood's Star Wars special continues.
Monday at 5. It's one of the most terrifying acts of violence imaginable. It can happen to your neighbors. It can happen to you. Home invasion. Learn how to protect yourself and your family. And at 11, The Man, the Movie, the Magazine. In public, he's the king of pornography. Now, step inside his private world. Join Channel 4's Kelly Lang and meet the man behind the myth. Watch Home Safe Home Monday at 5 and The Real Larry Flint Monday at 11, only on the Channel 4 News.
This week on Sunday Night Sports, part 2 of our mega year-end Hall of Shame. Plus, just like last week, a viewer who sent in a letter receives their T-shirt live. Don't miss Sunday Night Sports this week.
And we'll announce the Carl's Jr. In-Your-Face Shot of the Week, featuring the baddest, most outrageous in-your-face confrontations from all over the world of sports. The In-Your-Face Shot of the Week is sponsored by Carl's Jr. If it doesn't get all over the place, it doesn't belong in your face. NBC4 is proud to celebrate Black History Month.
As a young woman, Bessie Coleman set her sights on the sky. Her dream was to fly. When her applications to aviation school were turned down, she took her life savings to France to learn to fly. In 1922, she returned to the U.S. with her license and quickly gained fame as an aerobatic pilot, earning the name Brave Bessie. The first African-American woman to receive a pilot's license, she is commemorated with this U.S. postage stamp. Bessie Coleman had a dream that became a reality for all of us.
Hi.
Hi.
All these yours?
No, I'm a dog walker.
Well, can I help you?
Oh, sure,
Look,
Cliff.
come on, let's go, kid.
Come on. Come on, everybody.
Here we go. They all have a mind of their own, don't they?
They sure do.
She's pretty tough, isn't she? When do you get your breakfast?
Whenever I can. I go to somewhere where I can have breakfast all day.
You know, I'll bet you'd like IHOP's French Connection. Luscious French pancakes and golden French toast with bacon, sausage, ham, and eggs, all for $2.99.
Have you ever walked any other kind of animals?
Iguana.
What do they eat?
Omelette.
Ooh, definitely my favorite scene in the movie, all those crazy little creatures. Welcome back, everybody, to our Star Wars special. And I guess you could say that bar scene from the movie definitely gives new meaning to the term lounge lizards, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, after a few drinks, I've seen those people myself. It'll stop you from drinking, actually. This alien invasion in our movie theaters was intoxicating to fans who love the creatures, and I had the enviable assignment of meeting a couple of those lovable feature creatures myself. All creatures great and yuck. Introducing the true stars of Star Wars, the creatures. There's Wampa, Jawa, and Jabba, ooh. Ewoks, Yoda, and what are you? Oh, and yes, of course, the most important stars of them all, R2-D2.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, C-3PO, for you and R2-D2 have shown your true heroic mettle in all 3 Star Wars movies. R2-D2 and C-3PO, good to see you both.
Why, thank you. It is very pleasant to be here in such a safe environment.
Things have been anything but safe for the dynamic droid duo. In the Star Wars trilogy, these two have come across some rather strange creatures.
Don't shoot, don't shoot.
And in the special edition, get ready for more intergalactic oddities. And what about Jabba the Hutt? Now, I understand that the villain from Return of the Jedi shows up in Star Wars, is that right?
Indeed, the dreadful slug confronts Han Solo in all his disgustingness. No, not Han Solo's disgustingness, you defect. Behave yourself, R2.
These creature feature wonders, over 100 in the trilogy, took months to create, as you can see in this rare footage. From drawing board to clay models sprung from actual animal forms and pure imagination. Guided by the mastermind of Star Wars, creator George Lucas.
What it means is we'd have to figure out a way of opening the mouth and making it at least...
You could actually make maybe an oversized mouth, something like that, where you could move her lips. That mouth's very tiny.
The thing is, it doesn't have to be articulate. All it has to do is be able to open and close.
Let me whisper in your ear.
I knew it was going to be difficult, but I didn't realize exactly how difficult it was going to be. R2 in the movie ultimately couldn't move more than 1.5 feet. It wasn't until later that I sort of faked it and made him looked like he moved around more.
He weighed about 75 pounds, and it was heavy, and it was very sharp edges all over the place.
And Kenny Baker knows he was the heart, soul, and body of R2-D2. Both he and Peter Mayhew, who played Chewbacca, told us that in playing these two characters, they did not enjoy any creature comforts.
It was hot, but when you think that the costume was flexible, totally flexible, it was like a big knitted suit.
And it was like, it wasn't rigid, and I could wobble it slightly and move the body like this way and that way, and turn the head for yes and no, and do yes like that with the whole body, and no with just the head.
We gave these two a chance to reminisce about their famous hologram chess scene from Star Wars, where as actors they had to imagine the chess creatures on the board.
When we shot the chess scene, there was nothing on that board at all.
No, they were superimposed those.
They were superimposed afterwards.
You made a fair move. Screaming about it can't help you.
Funny game of chess.
Good lad.
So, with all these creatures to choose from, we ask, hey Hollywood, who's your favorite?
It's a tie between Chewbacca and R2-D2. Oh, here we go. Yoda, you and me done a Jedi.
There is another.
Patience you must have. Yes. Really? Finish what you begin. I do not love it.
This little garbage can is always my favorite character.
They're all very dear to me, and, you know, it's, I would say probably R2 and 3PO.
Well, it seems like you two are the boss's favorites.
Why, thank you.
C-3PO and R2 are really the link between the stories, because they don't age.
We look better than ever, don't we, R2?
No doubt about it. And we hope to see the two of you in further adventures.
R2 says that he is so looking forward to seeing everyone in the movie theater very soon. And so am I. Until then, we must say goodbye. And may the Force be with you.
He's always so animated. Of course, the creatures are just part of the Star Wars special effects magic.
Tough interview, wasn't it?
They were. Tough to get things out of.
That's all right. George Lucas created a state-of-the-art special effects empire that changed movies forever. When Star Wars blasted onto the big screen 20 years ago, no one had ever seen or heard anything quite like it.
Star Wars produced a renaissance of special effects, and it basically whetted the appetite of the audience for the fantasy and for the event movie.
Richard Edlund was responsible for much of the stunning visual effects in the Star Wars trilogy. Today, he oversees his own effects studio, Boss Films. Edlund won 3 Academy Awards for his work in the trilogy, and in this behind-the-scenes footage, he's the one running the camera.
That was our first experiment at shooting an exploding spaceship, and we basically rushed the camera directly at the thing, had a small charge explosion inside the model, and the dolly had about 5 inner tubes taped, or I mean roped onto the dolly, so that when they would push me at high speed, it would finally catch the inner tube and I wouldn't go off the end of the track, because we only had a 40-foot track.
Creating believable flying sequences was a priority for George Lucas and his Industrial Light and Magic team. From the opening shot, moviegoers had to accept this bit of fantasy as reality, or Star Wars would never fly.
I took the camera, put a particular lens on it, moved the camera along the surface, actually scraping the lens over the surface. That was a shot that was extremely important for the movie, because if it didn't work, the audience, you weren't going to have your audience.
The visual experience wouldn't be complete without the innovative sound developed at ILM. Star Wars was the first movie filmed in surround sound, but only a few theaters had the audio equipment that let you hear spaceships that seemed to fly around you.
The original Star Wars had a good mix, had good sound, but most theaters couldn't really reproduce sound of that quality.
Hey, you're not permitted in there. It's restricted.
But not everything in Star Wars is as high-tech as it seems. Remember those mechanical sounds coming from that lovable little droid, R2-D2? Many of those high-tech squeaks were actually the voice of sound designer Ben Burt.
But if I went, and then you sped it up and,
they have a higher noise, and it would sound cute, and you'd put a little electronic sound in with it to give it a machine-like quality. And I just made lots and lots of sound, tape after tape, and you'd go through them and pick out little bits of noise that you thought, well, this sounds happy, this sounds rude, and it was an editorial process of putting it together.
Thanks to digital technology, the newly released version contains more than 4 minutes of new footage, including this scene between Han Solo and a computer-generated Jabba the Hutt.
The ultimate goal is to make it look like Jabba was on the set talking to Harrison Ford, and we just photographed it. This is the original plate that George shot. So the plan was for us to remove this actor and replace him with Jabba. He had to be physically in that space where this actor was, doing all the same things in a similar kind of style.
We're now in the digital age, and I compare it to the difference between blacksmiths and neurosurgeons. I mean, in terms of the finesse that is available to you. And basically the horizon is now truly limitless.
With its bigger and brighter explosions and digitally enhanced soundtrack, the 90s version of Star Wars has taken the cutting-edge technology of 20 years ago and placed it at the frontier of the 21st century.
When we come back, an amazing look at an extremely rare 20-year-old interview with Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, and Harrison Ford.
It's great to sit in a theater and see people really enjoy something like that.
We've got the candid interview, something you do not want to miss. Next on Access Hollywood's ultimate Star Wars special.
American Express, how can I help you?
Hi, we'd like to go to Walt Disney World.
Well, we've got white glove vacations just for American Express card members.
Can my son meet Mickey?
He can have breakfast with the characters.
Really?
Yep. We also have special storytelling sessions just for card members. Some packages even include 250 free Disney dollars.
Free's good.
So, when would you like to go?
Call now 1-800-AXP-TRIP. Even at Walt Disney World Resort, American Express helps you do more.
Just for the feel of it, just dig the appeal of it.
Everyone is singing to the sound of Diet Coke. Just look under every cap of specially marked packages for a chance to win free CDs and trips to the Grammys.
So that, my place, or your place with it, Diet Coke, yeah! Whoa, one more time.
Grand cinnamon rolls from Pillsbury.
They're ready.
The most enormous, ooey gooey, luscious.
Should we wake the others? Let them sleep.
Now with more icing.
They're not just big, they're grand.
There are only about 3 dishes I know how to make, but my best is definitely Jell-O chocolate pudding. At least that's what the experts tell me.
Jell-O chocolate pudding, as smooth as ever.
Hello?
Michael, this is Jeremy's father.
Well, hello.
I was just leaving.
But you haven't finished your coffee.
I don't remember your coffee being so good.
It's Taster's Choice. Michael introduced me to it.
Taster's Choice, rich aroma, fresh taste, right in your cup.
About last night. I'm sorry.
I'm not.
Who do you love? Who do you love? Yeah, who do you love? Who do you love?
Welcome back. Well, we are accessing Star Wars in a big way, and we've got something really special to show you right now, a piece of history in the making.
What do you think this? Our crack research staff did some serious searching and dug up this 20-year-old interview with Today's Show movie critic Gene Shalit, and he did it with Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, and Mark Hamill. this is the last time they've all been talking about the film together on television.
And you'll notice that these fresh-faced stars seem a little bit nervous and uncomfortable in front of the cameras, believe it or not. They were not the world-famous seasoned pros that they've become. Take a look.
With me are 3 stars of Star Wars. Carrie Fisher, who plays the princess, Mark Hamill, who plays the innocent and brave young hero, and Harrison Ford, the only movie actor named after 2 presidents, who is the dashing, daring space pilot who helps them all escape from danger. I have not seen, with the exception of Rocky, in the last few years, the kind of audience participation and audience reaction for and to a film that we have for Star Wars.
It's great to sit in a theater and see people really enjoy something like that.
Have you done it? Have you been?
Yeah.
Any of you, have you gone to see a theater just anonymously, just go in as a patron?
It's easy to be anonymous at this point, really. Nobody recognizes us when we go into a theater.
Nobody recognizes you?
Just one guy who'd seen it 12 times, and he
What was
asked
his
me
reaction?
out.
He asked you out?
The princess. No, I first told him that I was surprised that the 20th Century Fox officer had heard he'd seen it 12 times. He got a free date with the princess and a bucket of popcorn, but he believed me.
How'd you get this role?
I walked in. George was having joint interviews with Brian De Palma, who was Captain Carey. Every 5 minutes, there was another person waiting just to talk, and I never saw a script. I got 5 pages after that initial meeting in the mail. They said, memorize it, show up, you're going to test with this guy. And believe me, I said, it was never that George Lucas ever said, well, this is what we're going to do. This is kind of a, he said, let's just do it.
Well, the name of the movie is Star Wars. It is going to be one of the biggest money-making movies of our time, no doubt about it, one of the big hits of the summer, and these are 3 of the non-robots from Star Wars.
When we come back, do you want to know how much that Star Wars lunchbox you have is worth? The Force is still with us when Access Hollywood's Star Wars special rolls on.
Go to the wall. For the best highlights.
Whoa!
The best sports. The best seat in the house. Now that's action. Go to the wall with Fred Rogan on Sunday Night Sports. Tonight at 11:15, only on Channel 4.
Check it out. At 5 o'clock, we are newsbreakers. We want to get it to our viewers first. We want to take people out there, live.
The news is everything that could make a difference in your life and your families. We bring that home so people not only know, but they can feel and understand.
It takes teamwork and dedication.
And most of all, caring about our community.
That's why when the news breaks, people know they can count on us for the best coverage.
We know who we work for.
Paul, Colleen, and the Channel 4 News team, working for you.
At Snapple, we've heard from many people who love our Diet Snapple flavors, but often confuse their bottles with regular Snapple. Ideas, anyone?
Maybe those people should get their eyes checked.
Okay, read the chart.
Diet Snapple, 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 Diet Snapple, Snapple. No preservatives, no artificial color.
Very good. Thanks for the idea. Diet Snapple, making the best stuff on Earth a little easier to see.
NBC Tuesday's all new on Mad About You, oh boy, or is it oh girl? Oh, and Mel Brooks is back.
Name him after me.
The thing about the name...
Oh, God, okay. Then on Something So Right, the moment Jack and Carly first met. Oh, smooth, Jack. Then on Frasier, Eddie seeing a doggy shrink.
I always enjoy being in the company of colleagues. Did you say colleagues or collies?
Then on Caroline, it's French Stewart from Third Rock.
Yeah.
And Richard joins the NBA. Yeah, right. All new NBC Tuesday.
Welcome back to Access Hollywood. You know, when the movie first came out, fans rushed to buy all those Star Wars T-shirts, action figures, and lunchboxes like this one, which originally cost $5 or so, and is now worth about $125. But you know, it does have a thermos inside, so it's like worth every penny.
So it's worth it, and I'll be glad to hold it for you if you'd like me to. Thanks. $125. But the merchandise is only just part of the massive Star Wars empire striking back and in the hearts of fans everywhere, even today. The power of the Force is stronger than ever today, thanks to millions of intensely devoted fans.
Definitely changed my life. Sounds corny, but it's true.
Star Wars was what brought us together on our first date, and, well, now we've gone overboard.
To go to that extreme of naming a child Princess Leia or R2-D2 or something like that. I mean, you could name a dog. My grandparents named their dog Princess Leia, and it was subsequently hit by a car.
Don't laugh. Faithful fans mean big bucks at the box office and big business for all things Star Wars. There are Star Wars fan clubs, almost 1,000 internet sites.
It just keeps growing, and that's due mainly to the fact that the web keeps growing, and also because of the excitement about the re-release.
There are Star Wars comic books and novels. Even Mickey Mouse jumped on the Star Wars bandwagon with Disney's Star Tours ride. All this is just the tip of the lightsaber. The film has created a licensing empire for George Lucas that has no equal.
It turned into this whole other revenue source, which helped really, in the end, to finance a lot of the film industry.
The Sand people are coming! It's up to Luke Skywalker and his land speeder to get us out!
Action figures each sold separately.
20 years ago, the original Kenner toy line revolutionized an industry which was sent into overdrive. In the process, it created a new generation of toy collectors, like Ira Gallen.
The Force is working lately. I don't know what my favorite toy is, but I love them all, especially my Star Wars stuff.
Ira has 10,000 toys, including hundreds of Star Wars collectibles.
Of course, every kid must have a backpack that vibrates. This is the piece de resistance of space vehicles. This, if you can find this mint in a box, is $450. Now, reproed from Kenner, $39.95 at FAO Schwarz Star Wars boutiques. This is the playset vehicle.
2 years ago, Kenner relaunched an updated Star Wars line, which is proving again to be a top seller.
You go to FAO Schwarz, there are Star Wars boutiques all over the country, and you see young kids and old buying the action figures.
Two of the ultimate Star Wars gifts are these gold-plated collector's cards and a life-size Darth Vader at $5,000.
Not a bad price for 7 feet of the dark side of the Force.
So don't put away those wallets yet. There's no end to the Star Wars mania in sight. It's become part of our culture, and with more films in the works, it looks as if the Force will truly be with us always.
It's fun. Just plain outright fun.
Can you name the artist who recorded the disco version of the Star Wars theme? The answer's coming up in the Access Spotlight.
Access Hollywood is brought to you by Diet Coke, just for the taste of it.
No two GM owners are alike. We drive a lot of different kinds of cars and trucks for a lot of different reasons. But when J.D. Power and Associates ask new vehicle owners about the quality, sales experience, and delivery of their vehicle, the different GM owners wound up mostly saying the same thing.
Same thing.
General Motors rated highest in satisfaction right from the start.
People in motion. From a special place where chocolate is everything and love is important too, comes new Hershey's Pot of Gold box chocolates. A place where clusters of almonds, caramels, and pecans are nestled in beds of chocolate, and cups of milk chocolate dance with toasted coconut. New Pot of Gold fine box chocolates with love from Hershey. A place where chocolate is everything.
Just for the feel of it, the pure appeal of it, yeah. This is the place for it, this is the best of it,
Everyone is singing to the sound of Diet Coke. Just look under every cap of specially marked packages for a chance to win free CDs and trips to the Grammys.
One more time. Just for the feel of it, yeah.
Coming up next week on Today, the latest and maybe the last from the O.J. Simpson trial, the jury's final decision.
We'll also take you live to the Oscar nominations, plus Mia Farrow on her life, her loves, and her new book. So join us next week.
And see what a difference today makes.
Monday at 6, more for your money. Valentine's Day is right around the corner, and what better way to show your love than with a beautiful bouquet of roses? We'll show you where to get the best ravishing roses at wholesale prices. Get more for your money. Monday at 6 on the Channel 4 News.
Jack Gastic, 37 years, baking with oral wheat. You can make bread cheaper and faster than my bread, but it sure won't taste as good. You could bake the bread too quickly, which takes away some of the flavor. Magnificent loaf of bread. My oral wheat Master's Best isn't about cheaper or faster. It's about baking the best bread that you can find anywhere.
We believe in time, care, and master bakers like Jack. Oral Wheat Master's Best. 3-seed and winter wheat for the love of good bread.
The Force is with Spotlight as we salute Star Wars. July 1977 marked the very first issue of Marvel's Star Wars comic book. Originally costing 30 cents, and mint condition, this issue today goes for $50. On August 3rd, 1977, C-3PO and R2-D2 placed their robot prints in cement at Mann's Chinese Theater. And the answer to our Spotlight quiz. One of the big musical hits of 1977 was the disco version of the Star Wars theme by Mecco. The 15-minute song combines several themes from the movie.
Next weekend, you've seen the stars' homes from here. Now check them out from here. We're taking you inside the swankiest star homes around.
Now look at this view of the pool.
Yeah. We get some skinny dippers out there. It's good.
We're going home with Tom Arnold, David Faustino, Ed McMahon, and more. Access at home next weekend and only on Access Hollywood.
And Monday, find out why Tim Allen's been spending so much time in a jungle. Plus, we're singling out super sexy Carmen Electra.
What'd you say, sweetie pie? Say, pretty girl! Are you guys ready to skip a beat?
Then get on the bus. We're heading down south for one huge Mardi Gras party, y'all. That's all Monday on Access Hollywood.
And we hope you enjoyed our special on Star Wars. The Empire Strikes Back opens February 21st, and Return of the Jedi comes out March 7th.
And we'll see you next weekend for Access at Home, but of course we can't go without saying it at least one time.
Go ahead.
May the Force be with you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Jabba the Hutt thing I enjoyed. I enjoyed that part. I don't really know why, but I did. There's no real disturbing reason.
The way that C-3PO and R2-D2 filtered into our consciousness.
I happen to know Harrison Ford.
The kids made that movie, you know. Kids saw it 10 times.
I'm not a Trekkie, unfortunately. Oh, yeah! I saw Star Wars.
To see that on the big screen is true magic.
It was like the Beatles was to music, what Star Wars was to the film world. I can't wait to see him again.
I've never seen it.
I happen to know Harrison Ford.
Well, he ain't going to be around long enough to tell anybody about us.